Hey line walkers, this is Jaime A. Heidel, the Articulate Autistic, and I have a brand new video for you today. This one is called Why Autistic People Do That, video 27, Multiple Text Notifications and Other Sounds Can Feel Like Assault. So this happened a couple of months ago. I was making some food for myself. I was in the kitchen and I had my phone on the kitchen table. And all of a sudden it started to go off. I got one buzz, two buzz, three buzz, four buzz, five, six, seven. It was buzzing so much. I thought it was going to buzz itself right off the table. And I actually thought something was wrong with my phone. So I look and I'm like, who is so desperately trying to get a hold of me? What's going on? And I look and somebody had sent me 7 messages and it was on Instagram. Now, I don't mind if somebody sends me a message or two. That's not a problem. But this was 7 in a row and I got notification after notification after notification. And I got so triggered by this, by the fact that I just heard that sound 7 times, that I shut down and I started crying. I actually had a panic attack over getting messages. And this is something that I think it's difficult for neurotypical people to understand why that would be triggering for somebody on the autistic spectrum, autism spectrum rather. Although I do think that other people get irritated, people with anxiety also get irritated by multiple messages and stuff like that. I had actually sent out, I think, a question in the autistic forum, and I was just like, does this bother you too, or is it just me? And I think one of the best ways that somebody came back to me and described it was that it does feel like an assault. It feels like you're kind of like you're being attacked. I'm not sure how to explain why it feels that way. I just know that if, and this happens with other sounds too, if I get multiple message notifications all in a row, I feel like something's wrong. I kind of feel like somebody's yelling at me or telling me to be alert and aware and like be on, and I have to do something. It's like I'm in the middle of my routine and I'm perfectly fine with my routine being interrupted if there is a fire, a murderer, or something of that sort. I don't take well to my routine being interrupted at all. And I've always been like this. And it really doesn't matter who's trying to get a hold of me, or if somebody knocks on my door, if somebody rings my doorbell. That's something that can really set me off. I do not like hearing the sound of my doorbell. Anything that is unexpected is overwhelming for me. So if I expect that someone's coming over, my friends do know to send me a text message because knocking on my door or ringing my doorbell is not a good idea. And they also know to just send me one message so I can, I have time to process whatever information they sent me in the first message, and then I can get back to them and then we can have a conversation. I think in addition to being startled and having my routine disrupted, I think that one of the reasons that I don't like multiple message notifications is that because I can't keep up with that much information. I will actually shut down. I've had people do that before where they really want to talk to me about something, but they just keep sending me messages and I get so overwhelmed I can't read them anymore. They don't mean anything. There's just no meaning to the words and I start to shut down. And they're like, sometimes they'll ask me why I'm not responding and I'm like, I literally will send the message stop. I will just say stop because at that point I am completely overloaded. I have terrible sensory overload. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And I feel like really, really tense and really anxious. And I can't really speak. I can't really respond. I get overwhelmed just talking about it. So for whatever reason, I guess for the routine, being startled, being sensitive to noise, and not being able to process that much information coming in at once, I do not like multiple message notifications, and I do know that other people on the spectrum also do not like multiple message notifications. Sometimes not any notifications at all. I can tell you that I'm somebody who keeps my phone on silent a lot. I do have a ringtone. My ringtone is very musical and very, very light, and so it won't startle me. A ringing phone always startles me. When somebody rings my doorbell, it startles me. I had somebody do that, just like last week. All he wanted to do was hand me the water bill, and he's like, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, and I go to get up, And my butt hadn't left the cushion of the chair yet when he was ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And I'm like, I get to the door, which is only like 10 feet that way. And he starts knocking on the door. And I'm like, so I was not nice to him. And usually what I do is I call out. I always say, who is it? Because I don't have a peephole in my, on my door. And I can look out the window, but I don't have a peephole. So I'm like, who is it? Who is it? And nobody ever answers. Well, this time I didn't because I was just so frustrated I couldn't even talk. So I looked out the window and I started knocking on the window as he's knocking on the door. And he kind of looks at me. It was my landlord's son. He was just dropping off a bill. And I was like, you need to announce who you are. And really, I wasn't even mad about that. I was mad because he had knocked on my door and he had rung my doorbell excessively. Now, I don't like it when people ring my doorbell ever. But this was like he was leaning on it like there was a horrible emergency. And I'm like, can you please? But of course, what I wanted to say and what I said did not match, unfortunately. I couldn't explain it. And they do not know that I'm autistic, and I'd rather keep it that way. Most of the time, I'm pretty open, but I don't think there's any reason for my landlord and their family to know, so I don't say anything. But yeah, that is really frustrating because it's so startling, and I don't like to be taken out of my routine. And even though when somebody's ringing my doorbell, they're not asking me to absorb information, they are making me get up and face human contact. They're forcing me to have human contact without being able to prepare myself first. And that is a source of severe anxiety for me too. As far as other noises, smoke detectors, I hate them. I understand their necessity. I am completely OCD about checking them. And when I say OCD, I don't mean, I literally have diagnosed OCD, and it's really bad. And checking is my OCD problem. I just don't like the sound of them. So I am very careful because mine happen to be sensitive. So when I'm cooking or my roommate's cooking, I make sure that we put a fan, so that it's blowing in the general direction and kind of circulating the air so that it doesn't go off, because that thing will go off for virtually no reason. And that's something that really, really startles me, and then it triggers my OCD rituals. But the sound of it just drives me crazy. I just want to dive under a table. Ambulances, police cars, fire trucks going by, that bothers me too, but it's not as bad because I know that it's not coming for me and I don't have to directly deal with it. So yeah, if you have somebody in your life who's on the spectrum and you send them multiple notifications or you call them multiple times and they don't respond to you, it could be that they're completely and totally overwhelmed. I mean, I can tell you I'm one of those people that, you may see memes about this, where you're staring at the phone in abject terror because someone's calling you and you're like, why can't you just text me? So I definitely prefer a text message, one or two. I will get more and more scared and more and start to shut down more and more if I get more notifications. Again, if it's an emergency, I can handle that. But if it's not an emergency, I can't deal with it. So if you have somebody in your life who is on the spectrum and it seems like they're ignoring you, it could be, moth, okay. Hello? It could be because they don't know how to respond. There's too much information. They're in the middle of a routine and they haven't stopped yet, so they're not ready to go on to the next thing. That's all what it's like in the autistic brain. So it's nothing personal. Definitely one message and then wait like an hour or two, another message. That would be just my recommendation. But if you are neurotypical, autistic, somewhere in the middle, ADHD, anxiety, PTSD, any of those, any condition really, that would cause your nervous system to be amped up, those sounds could irritate you. But if you are on the spectrum or not on the spectrum, please feel free to comment on this video and let me know if you've ever experienced somebody on the spectrum who really doesn't seem to like certain noises or doesn't seem to respond to you when you text them or when you call them. And if you are on the spectrum, please feel free to talk about your experiences and how it makes you feel when somebody is texting you or coming over unannounced and ringing your doorbell or knocking on your door. Because I know that this isn't a problem that I have alone, and I know many, many people have it and have a difficult time explaining what it is that goes on inside of them. And I will say another thing before I go. I think somebody asked me how I can do these videos, and I didn't really clearly understand what he was talking about. But I think that I can do these videos because I did something called DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. And I was able to tune into what I'm feeling and be able to describe things a lot easier. So I'm capable of doing that now. So if you ever wonder why I am the articulate autistic, it's because I basically took DBT for years, and I still do it. I still do that type of therapy. And that's why I'm able to explain things and make connections to things. I never could do that before. So yes, DBT, I highly recommend it, but that's for another video. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.